I'm not here to tell you about my sense of humor. I am here to show you my sense of humor. Indeed, I can find the humor in most situations, including funerals. Well, I study history constantly, and constantly I am in touch with dead people. History is a social science. It's supposed to be taken seriously. In fact, they take it so seriously, they forget everything they've been taught 5 minutes after they leave class. I'm sorry to say that most students have been taught history by a teacher who has, well, no real interest in it. I know this is so because I had such teachers myself. In fact, those teachers had no passion for history. My passion for history came from a dead guy. His name, Leo Tolstoy. Tolstoy taught history the way it is supposed to be taught, by telling us a story. He told us about his country, Russia, how it had been invaded by a foreign army, Napoleon and his Frenchmen. By telling us about the lives of Natasha, Prince Andrei, and Pierre, he brought it alive to us and made it interesting. Besides that, he told us everything we need to know about war. To some degree, everybody loses. Last week at my Tuesday evening Toastmasters Club, I combined a presentation with table topics, and it was all about what happened after the Declaration of Independence was published and voted for. I am sorry to say that my fellow Toastmasters didn't do very well. I am disappointed. However, I do know that Americans are known for not knowing their own history. History has been politicized. Here is the issue on that. The people on the right think the founders are sacred people, almost godlike, they could do no wrong. The people on the left, why, you would never know that so many evil bastards created the United States of America. I don't know who bores me more, the people on the left or the people on the right. The founders of this country, and this is your country, your founders, are neither sacred or evil bastards. That's why when I teach history, I teach context. Let's say you got into a time machine and you were going from here to back there. Guess what? You would be out of place. You wouldn't know how to walk, how to talk, how to dress, what food to eat, nor would you know how to go to the bathroom unless you're an experienced camper and are very familiar with outhouses. In my novel, Big Battles in Trenton, Elle, the girl who time travels, is just 11 years old. That way she can pass herself off as a drummer boy. She's also energetic and can withstand the rigors of that march down to Trenton. Elle is a student of history. She's familiar with this event, and so she knows what to expect. What about you? Do you know why Washington had to cross the Delaware in the middle of winter and retake Trenton? Do you know where Trenton is? Or have you forgotten that important piece of history because your teacher droned on and, well, he put you to sleep? I don't blame you. Teachers without passion are, well, it's like studying with artificial intelligence. So let's look at some of those dead folks and let them do some of the talking. Let's begin with George Washington. Hey, you know, George Washington before the American Revolution was just this nice gentleman farmer with some military experience. Until they boosted him up to commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, his life was rather blasé. Afterwards, who would have thunk it that this nice guy would pull off the stunts that he did? Before the Declaration of Independence was even voted on, here come the British forces to land on Staten Island to the tune of 23,000 men who were experienced British regulars and German soldiers. The Americans had 17,000 inexperienced soldiers. And this is important. Admiral Richard Howe, otherwise known as Dickie, shows up with about 24 warships filled with experienced sailors, and they begin to patrol all the waters around New York, and up the Hudson River they go. General William Howe is in charge of the whole shebang. So, you can see that things have gotten serious, but that's the trouble with declaring your independence. You have to be willing to stand behind it with your words. And that means, yes, you have to be willing to hurt people. In revolutions, people die. Yes. No sooner, on July 9th, has the Declaration of Independence been read to the American troops than all hell breaks loose. One battle after another. First, they lose the Battle of Long Island. Then they lose the Battle of Manhattan. Third, the Battle of Harlem. Gone, gone, gone. How would you feel if you're a patriot and this Washington guy just turns out to be the biggest defeatist out there? Well, you might say, I know it. I knew if they gave Washington that command that he would blow it. And you'd have a point. By October, Washington decides to make a last stand for New York in White Plains. You guessed it, he lost. The Continental Army takes refuge in Fort Lee, New Jersey, but they're just quickly passing through. They begin a run through New Jersey with the British forces hot on their tail. Now, here's what many Americans fail to understand about our revolution and why we did this thing. You see, King George ordered the British forces not to destroy the Americans. Why? Well, because he loves us. We are his favorite colony. And why is that? Because we were then, as we are now, productive. We made things to sell. That was a part of the argument between Great Britain and the colonies, the 13 colonies. We wanted to be able to sell directly to other countries. We did not want to be told what British companies we could sell to or what countries we couldn't trade with. That is a big part of the argument. We had here the resources. We had hard-ass workers. What did we need with those old farts in London? However, at this point in November of 1776, we're a bunch of losers. Washington and his soldiers crossed the Delaware and hid out in the woods of Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, in New Jersey, General Howe is walking through the countryside, knocking on doors and getting all those fence sitters who were either not loyalist or not patriot, giving them this reassurance that if they just signed this little pledge to the king, everything would be hunky-dory. General Howe is a gentleman who likes the good life. So after he gets all those pledges signed, he takes off for New York so he can go to the theater, play cards, and spend long winter nights with his babe, Mrs. Loring. Mr. Loring is busy fulfilling all those contracts he has with the British forces. I'm not suggesting that Mr. Loring pimped out his wife to get those lucrative contracts. No, not at all. It's just coincidence. Meanwhile, back with the Continentals, Washington comes up with a harebrained idea to cross the Delaware in the middle of the winter and retake Trenton. The guy knows he's got to do something bold. Well, Washington may not be the best strategist around, but the guy's got cojones. And he also knows how to delegate responsibilities. So he gets Colonel Glover, an experienced sailor from Massachusetts, to carry it off for him. And indeed, they do cross the Delaware with beautiful, perfect weather conditions. Rain, sleet, and a blizzard. But say, we've talked about this before. This is what it means to declare your independence and match your words with action. You freeze your butt off, but then you throw the Hessians out of Trenton. When General Howe learned of it, that we had retaken Trenton, he was astounded. How did we pull this off? But like so many others, he had underestimated us. When you really want it, you can get the big win. If you'd like to really feel this story, go ahead, read my novel, Big Battles in Trenton. It's a step-by-step replay, and you never have to leave the couch. What I get from this story and why I celebrate July 4th is this. When the circumstances call for it, go ahead, be a badass, and get the big win. Now go out, enjoy your 4th, and watch some fireworks.